Yellowstar and NIF, they spoke very heavily about that Annie and the Leona matchup, and Alliance are much more afraid of Yellowstar's Annie than of any other right now.
And they actually ban out Yasuo here, Fnatic, as their final ban. And that's, again, we talk about Elise because it stands here in this point as well. Do Alliance ban out Elise, or do they let it go through with a risk then? There it is, the ban. Elise taken away.
I'm almost expecting... Wow, okay. So, very quickly, Yasuo has been banned 5 times against Alliance. Froggen has obviously been playing it a lot in solo queue, and I was very surprised by this LeBlanc pick because I thought the safe pick or safe option would be Lee Sin or Thresh. That way allowing yourself to be comfortable. The one thing that LeBlanc does very well, she counters basically every single assassin. Because of the mobility she's got and the silence and the immense burst at 6, she's a great counter to those all-in assassin types.
Which, for me, against any other team would be okay, but this is Alliance. This is Froggen we're talking about, who plays more of those standard mid laners. Just to go back quickly, we've seen once already this season that LeBlanc has been with Xpeke. That was in their win against Millennium, 6-5-6. Not incredibly impressive statistics with that one, but he gets it nonetheless this time around. On the other side, we talked about the junglers and where they're going to go. Currently hovering over that Pantheon, but to touch on the Trundle, Wicked has been going for it fairly regularly this season. Yeah,
Wicked's Trundle has actually been his most impressive champion, I think. You know, he played fairly well in Shyvana back in week 2, and I think his Renekton is still pretty strong. But the performance that has impressed me the most has been on his Trundle. Pantheon is a surprising one for me because with Lee Sin being available, I would have expected Shook to have gone for that, but it's not 100% certain that it's going to be in the jungle. It has been used there 6 times, it's been mid twice. It's not exactly a champion I associate with Froggen, but to have that versatility, to have that option available, is quite nice for the side of Alliance.
So, Caitlyn in there as well for Fnatic, and you know, the AD carries these days, we can see there the pick and win rates for Caitlyn on your screens. The fact is that the AD carries we're seeing Caitlyn, Jinx, Lucian pretty much exclusively. Obviously we have seen a little bit of Ezreal here and there as well, but they're basically what they're fighting over at this point. So Caitlyn in for Fnatic, now over to Alliance. I'm really intrigued to see what Froggen is actually going to bring to the table of this one. We can see that Leona is being hovered over as well, which would be very interesting if they pick Leona up right now with Thresh still on the table.
If I'm honest with you, I almost anticipate Alliance to go for the Orianna pick. Froggen has tended to play safe. He seldom goes for those all-in champions. He seldom goes for the super unique picks. We've seen him playing Kayle last week to, you know, not very good success. And an Orianna would actually supplement the rest of the team. Pantheon, Trundle, and Lucian have got a lot of damage. The engage potential is very strong with them. So I'm almost expecting that from Alliance. But the one thing that Fnatic haven't revealed just yet is who they're going to go for the support. And like you said, with Thresh being available, Thresh is a very strong champion against Leona in lane.
Wow. Okay, so we talked about double AP last time. We currently have Morgana and Orianna on the board for Fnatic. I don't expect it. Yellowstar hovers over a lot of champions before changing in the last seconds to this one. But will they go for that Orianna to take that away from Alliance? Because I feel like Alliance, Froggen in particular, it's Orianna, Gragas, basically, that has been his fall back to champions. But if they take the Orianna away, they've picked up Thresh here as the support, so against that Leona, and they do lock in the Orianna, so it's going to be that double AP comp again.
It definitely is, and I don't know where the LeBlanc's going to go, whether that's going to be top lane or whether that's going to be in the mid lane. I almost think it's going to be LeBlanc top because I think that'll do pretty well against Trundle. Can silence him, can get in his face. The root is going to prevent Trundle from chasing you down in lane. But I'm not sure where Fnatic want to go there. This is the second time they've run double AP. They did it last week against Gambit and it didn't work. They lost that game. I really want to stress that right now. If Trundle gets far enough ahead that he can survive the burst of that LeBlanc or Orianna, I'm a little bit scared for Fnatic because if they pop some abilities on him, or if they can't prevent him getting to the back line, then Wicked could do a lot of work against this Fnatic comp right now.
We should also not forget that Pantheon can go into that mid lane. We've already seen it twice this season, 6 times in the jungle, so that's not out of the question here if Alliance go for something a little bit different, but it looks like it's going to be falling back onto that old stalwart pick for Froggen with the Gragas.
Alliance needed wave clear desperately. With the melee champions of Trundle, Pantheon, and Leona, if they ever get sieged upon, because there's a Caitlyn sitting there, it's going to be very difficult for them to hold onto towers. So the Ziggs or the Gragas would probably have been the best pick in that scenario. It allows them to defend. It also allows them to set up some sieges for themselves if they want to go in. So Gragas, like we've already said, it is one of the champions that Froggen has been defaulting to. It does well enough against either LeBlanc or the Orianna in lane, can farm fairly safely. So I quite like that pickup from Alliance. And I think Alliance's team comp is a little more current meta, if I can use that sort of term.
Yeah, we talk about the fact that double AP was the way that Fnatic went against Gambit. It didn't work for them there. Was, however, a chaotic game that for a lot of the time could have gone either way. And we also have to say, to be fair here, that Alliance are not the same caliber as Gambit Gaming right now.
No, definitely. They have simply not performed. Week 1, it was team play that cost them games. Week 2, they won their games. Week 3, they lost on their own individual mistakes. So I think for this game right now, Alliance really needs to get on the ball. Shook in particular, with his Grand Skyfalls on that Pantheon, is going to be a massive determining factor on whether or not his lanes are going to be able to keep control against Fnatic.
Definitely a comp that needs a lot of team play and the right calls, which is something that they've been struggling with so far, Alliance. But you guys have heard from us, so let's check in and see what you think will come out on top here. According to the votes on lilysports.com, 90% of you have Fnatic down as the winner. 90% is a lot, but it's also hard to disagree with that one. This is first versus last place, let's not forget.
7-1 versus 2-6. It is first versus 8. It's David versus Goliath. I think every single weakness that Alliance has demonstrated over the course of the split so far, Fnatic has been praised for on how well they're doing it. So it's literally a chalk and cheese matchup here between these two. We do have a very brief pause as one of the Alliance members, I believe, has quickly just rushed off the stage for an emergency, but not serious.
Yeah, I'm going to be coming back here shortly, but that gives us just a bit more time to talk about the picks in this one. And I want to touch on the LeBlanc in the top lane. Up against Trundle, do we expect lane switches to come out here from either side because of how these picks have gone down? Let's not forget that last week the Gragas got an early kill, 50 AP body slam as it was to get that one. Are they going to switch it around again? And who's going to have the advantage if that happens?
Truthfully, Wicked is once again going to be in a negative position, whether he's against LeBlanc or Orianna. I think he'll struggle more against an Orianna than he would against LeBlanc. Orianna's auto attacks with her passive and the additional magic damage is going to make Trundle's life very difficult when he starts to CS. A little less so for the LeBlanc. I don't think Fnatic will want to lane swap necessarily because their 2v2 should be stronger. They should be able to bully around in the early game until Leona gets levels, until Leona hits level 6 where the all-in potential is there. The one thing that Fnatic cannot afford to do is push their waves. The closer that Shook gets to level 6, the more likely we are to see a Grand Skyfall gank coming into effect. So I think Fnatic have to be very careful with controlling the tempo of their lanes.
One thing they have in their favor on that one, though, is if it is going to be, obviously, Orianna in the mid lane, the shortest lane, he's going to be able to escape from that most likely. Top lane, you've got LeBlanc, who is so incredibly mobile, it's going to be hard to lock him down.
Yeah, and I also expect, because of the lane matchup in the early game to be a little in favor of Fnatic, that Shook should send some ganks or some attention to that bottom lane.
So here we go then, in-game Fnatic versus Alliance, first versus 8th in the LCS Spring Split of 2014. And Alliance, as we said before, they improved in Week 2 after a disastrous Week 1, but they seem to default back to the Week 1 style when they turned up last week to play, and it's anyone to come here today and play.
Yeah, we'll have to see which team actually does appear. Alliance have got a lot of things that can go well for them. However, they need to stay even in lane. You know, the reason they lost their games last week, I think the reason SK in particular really just grabbed hold of the matchup is because Alliance fell behind on an individual level. And they can't afford to do that here today against Fnatic because Fnatic are arguably superior to SK at rotating in the mid game and closing the games out.
So looking at level 1 here seems pretty standard. In fact, everyone in their respective positions kind of matching up here if you look at those lines across the map. So as in the top lane currently waiting there, Wicked is on the same side of the map. Both AD carries and support on the bottom side with the mid laners looking at each other in the eyes in that mid lane. Even the junglers are up at the same position. So looks like we're going to have a fairly defensive level 1 as Peke catches the first barrel of the game. Points for that.
Advantage Alliance. They have the effective HP lead, as it were. But I think, you know, I think it's a smart choice here for these teams to go for the standard lanes, so to speak. The fact that Fnatic have got 2 sweepers on is also very defensive. They've killed both of the wards, actually. I think Cyanide as well as Pekka got some auto attacks down, so vision advantage is in favor of Fnatic right now.
That's a very interesting start as well, something that we've not really seen. For me, that just points to pure research from Fnatic's side, knowing where those wards are going to go down. And look at this, an early invade coming on. Wicked is going to spot Soaz as they go into their first damage coming down from this as the wards get placed in. Soaz at half HP. Wicked actually takes the cue from Cyanide, who himself is falling low. He's going to have to flash away, and Soaz is going to have to do the same here. And in the end, using his spells to escape from that, keeps his flash for a little bit later on, but that was not the start that Fnatic were looking for.
Definitely not. I think Fnatic maybe overestimated their early game strength in terms of those champions, and the fact that Soaz basically face-checked a Trundle, he got auto-attacked, he got chomped, he couldn't trade evenly because his auto-attack damage had been reduced. So I think a very good play for Alliance to respond. All of their team members got nice and tightly grouped, and Fnatic a little overconfident. That was a brave invade with only 2 members.
It looks like actually could be a problem with one of the Fnatic players at this point. I see the admins were stood behind them from that. It seems actually to be Reckless, who is just left the game, and I'm sure going to be restarting in here to get himself back in and keep this one going. But you know, these kind of early problems, I mean, Reckless for me is only 17, but he's so experienced now. Obviously, he couldn't play in the LCS last year, but he played with Fnatic before that when he was even younger. So he's got the experience of this one. 4 weeks now he's been playing here on the stage in the LCS. I don't think he's a player that gets particularly phased from what we've seen. No,
definitely not. I mean, when he burst into the scene at DreamHack Winter about 2 years ago, following that went to IPL 5 with the team, has spent all of last year being groomed by Fnatic. He's been to the different lands. He played competitively with the Copenhagen Wolves all year long on big stages across Europe. So this isn't going to fluster him at all. And I think more impressively, Reckless has really lived up to the hype. I think there are very few individual players who have maybe lived up to the performances you're expecting and actually outshone them. It took, I think, 4 or 5 games for Reckless to give up his first death in the LCS. And he's doing phenomenal right now as the phenom AD carry, I think we've called him a few times.
And we should look at the other side of the coin to that one. Shook was massively hyped coming into the start of this season. Massively. I think that can't be underestimated. And he's not lived up to that one. And I'm wondering if that's the pressure of being so heavily hyped that's really got to him.
That and the fact that every single team they've played against has said, we don't want you to play that, we don't want you to play that. This game alone, Wukong was taken away. We talked about how they may have been looking for new champions to play, and Wukong was removed, and we see Shook playing Pantheon, which is the current sort of trending junglers across both sides of the pond in the LCS.
Yep, and starting off with that red buff that did come under a little bit of pressure early on. Actually, we did see him just smiting that one out. Wicked also had to recall, but he's got teleport, so he's coming straight back into this top lane where he is going to be facing up with LeBlanc. Definitely not a lane that we're used to seeing LeBlanc versus Trundle.
No, definitely not. And I want to see how Soaz handles these first levels, where I feel the fact that he's ranged and got the ability to keep Trundle where he wants him is going to play in Soaz's favor. The one thing we haven't necessarily touched on is the immense mobility of Fnatic. You've got, you know, the distortion on Soaz, you've got Cyanide's Lee Sin that can hop, skip, and jump everywhere. Pekka's got a speed up, Thresh can throw himself around. When these team fights happen, Fnatic are going to be able to kite and dodge and avoid a lot of the barrels and the culling and the Pantheon damage from his Heartseeker strike fairly efficiently.
Going to be a very interesting one from this one. We've just had tabs on both of the junglers. Speaking of tabs, down in this bottom lane, that wave pushed up to his turret already. We saw Yellow Star zoning both of them out very early on in this lane matchup, and look at the CS advantage already. That's pretty huge.
When you pick a Caitlyn in lane, you want to win the lane. She's got the longest range of the AD carries. With a headshot passive, you have the ability to get an HP advantage and a damage advantage very early on. In addition to that, Thresh beats Leona in the early stages as well. The fact that Yellow Star's got the sweeping lanes as opposed to a ward, though, I think if Fnatic keep pushing the lane, it's going to become exponentially more risky because they don't have the amount of vision they need to protect against a Shook gank. So we'll have to see if Alliance can punish that decision.
We can see that a lot of wards cleared out on this early stage of the game by Yellow Star, who went with that sweeping lens for his trinket early on. Mid lane, we should talk about that as well. Peke versus Froggen, an old classic. And, well, Orianna versus Gragas, just as classic as Wicked, actually going to go on towards Soaz here. Will take a bit of damage for his pleasure.
Yeah, and that's basically the fact that LeBlanc's got range, got the root, got the silence. Wicked can't offer a whole lot, so it really just wants to back off, and maybe he's baiting Wicked to take some more damage. You know, in the mid lane, Orianna versus Gragas, I think it is going to be a very big farm fest until level 6. At level 6, there is the potential to kill your opponent, but realistically, we're expecting Peke and Froggen to default to Season 2, farm up the lane, wait for jungle presence to help secure kills, because I don't think that Froggen is going to make a misstep or a misplay to get caught out.
This bottom lane continues to trend in favor of Fnatic. 37 to 24 CS currently. Reckless and Yellowstar doing a fantastic job of controlling this lane out currently. And Reckless not really missing any CS that comes this way. Don't expect Tabs to have too many problems underneath the tower of doing exactly the same here, but you can see that Nif coming out just to assist in that CS and is actually losing a bit as he goes in on towards Yellowstar. Tabs gonna get some damage off the hook, actually just flying by there. No real action though.
Yeah, pretty even trade. The Dark Passage from Yellowstar blocking some of that auto attack damage from Tabs. And it's great to see in that intro video how Yellowstar was saying, hey, Nif doesn't really scare me with that Leona. He's playing Leona. And Nif saying, hey, well, we both play Thresh. And, you know, we talked about how important the support picks were, and they've both got very powerful champions that can make plays happen. Shook going to try to jump on Peke, but Froggen is a mile away. It's going to take some time for him to get there.
Yeah, we do see that Froggen's still level 5 here. Peke is already up to level 6, so he's got that shockwave should he actually need it. And we are going to see them going in on towards this bottom lane. Yellowstar down below half HP, but Reckless's damage coming in there will force Alliance to back away.
Yeah, that was a great play. Now they've got a lot of damage onto Yellowstar. We talked about how Fnatic do not have the required vision to stay pushed up. Yellowstar senses they've been there a little too long. He's trying to get Reckless backwards, and that could have gone very scary if they'd stuck around another 5 or 10 seconds.
That is a good read, though, from Fnatic to start backing away. Shook already making his move down towards that Tribush, and they've got a ward less technically down in that bottom side as well, for the fact that he has gone for that sweeping lane. Be interested if and how he changes that as the game progresses. Shook just came over towards the Wraiths, actually, just in time for Peke's ball to come flying through. Spot him out, and he decides to back away. Better safe than sorry there. Yeah,
Fnatic have been aware of Shook's positioning. They pinged him out. I see there's some wards at the top half of the jungle there, so Shook trying to come in behind Reckless and Yellowstar actually was most likely spotted out by those wards. So Fnatic doing a very good job by strengthening the lack of vision in the bottom lane by supporting it in the middle lane. Having 2 wards up there is preventing them getting caught up from behind. So pretty smart decision making here from Fnatic. 7.5 minutes, they've got a small CS lead thanks to the fact that their lanes are stronger, but Alliance are not necessarily falling too far behind yet.
Not just yet. We have, as you said, that 600 gold lead. Looking at the items, Chalice for both mid laners. Actually, Peke going in for the boots from this one, which you never know, could mean the difference between a life and death situation for him. Obviously, both mid laners still do have that flash available to them, as Peke just going to get a pink ward down there in that brush. Shook onto the second spawn of his red buff. Not going to be challenged as he was at level 1 from that one, because Cyanide is on his own red buff.
Yeah, so it's a very slow start here for both of these teams. I think Alliance will be happy for this one. They want some time to scale up. They want to get Tabs enough to level 6 in conjunction with Shook to hit 6, so they can have that man drop solar flare death from above type of fight. And I think with Reckless and Yellowstar, they continue to push this wave up. They've held about a 15 CS lead for most of the game, but props to Tabs, he hasn't fallen further behind. There's a large amount of minions in front of him, so he'll close this 15 to about 8 or 6 or 8 as he starts to kill them out.
So there, Wicked actually having a couple of problems in this top lane. Had to use his subjugate on Soaz to try and claim some of that HP back to keep him in that lane at this point. He's, to be fair to Wicked, keeping up in CS at this stage of the game now.
Yeah, and in comparison to last week's matches where Wicked fell behind heavily early on, going for the 1v2 first of all, and then in the second game just that Malphite Trinity Force not working out, not to his favor. He's CSing very, very well. Shook is level 6 right now, and I think there's the Grand Skyfall. They're going on Peke.
They're going in for Peke, who actually flashes. He's got to the turret, but a great barrel from Froggen. Peke pulled away from the tower. He goes down. First blood for Alliance.
And that was just so well played. Even after the flash, Peke actually stalled out. He needed to flash sooner. A reply flash from Shook allowed him to get in range, use that cast from Froggen as very well coordinated. For the second time this game, we've seen Wicked using his teleport to go top lane. So it means it's not going to be available for a dragon fight if it breaks out. But I don't think Fnatic can even challenge for this one. Cyanide's up top, he's nowhere to be seen, and there's no one else for Fnatic to help this out.
Yeah, there's no dragon fight here. The best they can hope for is a lucky shot or hook from Yellow Star. Did land the hook, to be fair to him, but, well, in the end, that will be finished off. Alliance picking up the first dragon of the game, along with that first blood. Brilliant coordination. That was the weakness that we pointed out for Alliance. If they can continue to do that, who knows? They might be back to that week 2 form that we were talking of earlier.
I also think that's the first time we've seen a Pantheon gank in the mid lane succeed for the first attempt. We've seen Pantheon ganks in the middle from the jungle happening several times over the last few weeks, but that was just very well coordinated. And I wonder again if Peke had flashed a tiny bit earlier, if he'd reacted to the Grand Skyfall maybe sooner, he may have been able to get away. But nevertheless, the kill did go to Shook. First blade was not secured for Froggen, so the lane should still stay fairly even. And if you actually look at the items, Peke having his Fiendish Codex, he's a little bit ahead as far as cooldown reduction, ability power, etc.
Slightly up on that one, but Froggen, I think, he's going to have a decent amount of cash. He's actually sat on about 1,700 gold for his next time that he goes home. And we talked about these two players before. In fact, the players to watch, he pointed out that Peke has the highest CS in the LCS at 20 minutes. These two guys are incredible farmers and have been over the years, and they're, to be honest, playing champions that lend to that one brilliantly. So without the intervention of those junglers, we don't expect any kills to come down. But with that flash still only halfway back off cooldown for Peke, the Grand Skyfall coming up, well, in fact, it is already up. There's always a possibility for Shook to get back in. Definitely.
And I think that if Froggen actually gets a good cast, he can knock Peke back before he's able to distance away. Wicked taking so much damage from Soaz, and Wicked actually started that fight. He went aggressive on Soaz first, put himself in danger of getting bursted down, and did actually suffer a massive HP loss, but once again, he's keeping mostly even on CS. Soaz is really just trying to get some more lane authority here.
And he can continue to do that now. Got that Morel and Omicron in there. Just want to make a point about trinkets here, because they did change. There's the subjugate used once again by Wicked to get himself more HP in that lane, and he'll be quite happy if he can keep up and not die in that lane at all. However, Cyanide's there.
Yeah, Cyanide, if he manages to get a good kickback, don't know if they're going in.
They are going in. Oh, but Wicked flashes. That was a perfectly timed flash. Has caused Cyanide to take a good few turret hits as well. Split second reaction, Cyanide almost getting in behind him.
Yeah, and he manages to get away. Now Froggen is going to go in on Peke.
Yeah, throws the barrel. That's a great body slam. Shockwave comes back from Peke, who's got the damage. Another barrel will land. The Grand Skyfall is available, but will Shook risk this one? We can see that Peke is actually taking a different route here to just get away from it. In fact, he's just going to farm up wolves.
So at the end of the day, they trade ultimates, but I think it's more impressive that Froggen is the one making those moves. He's jumping in first and trying to set something up. Shook has snuck himself down to this bottom lane, trying to maybe set up a kill. And I don't know if you've noticed, but oh no, Cyanide's caught.
Wow. That belly is slamming pretty hard. But yeah, I think you were going to touch on the fact that the Athene's Unholy Grail was finished off there by Froggen, slightly ahead on item build. Maybe why he felt, you know what, I'm stronger now, let's go for it.
Yeah, it didn't work out. We actually see Shook coming in for the Wraith camp. One Cyanide.
Wow, Cyanide forced a flash as well from this one. And this is the danger of this comp. Fnatic flashing all over the place, as we are going to see Reckless caught in a little bit of trouble. Exhaust goes down. There's the hook on towards Tabs. Everyone's low in that lane. Nif actually the healthiest amongst them. Well, here comes Gragas down to the bottom lane. Is he going to be able to get in there?
No
he
cost.
Doesn't quite have his barrel ready here for this one. He slides in. Good damage onto Yellow Star. Will flay back. Ultimate is available. And there it is. Froggen takes down Yellow Star. Reckless takes a blast. They back off. But now Peke is coming down to this bottom lane. They've got minions, so no need to tank the turret. And Peke not going to have enough there to be picking up a kill.
Just in time, Froggen manages to get that explosive cast. They get the flashes out of both Reckless and Yellow Star. They pick up a kill onto Yellow Star. And by time the culling and the solar flare is available for Alliance, they can just rinse and repeat. We talked about how once Leona gets 6, she's capable of shutting down Thresh, and it seems to work out. So as going in on Wicked.
Yeah, good damage onto him as well. We can see that Spectre's cowl actually built there by Wicked, and we've seen most Trundles going for that Blade of the Rune King at the very start of things to get that sustain, to be feeling a little bit more confident in a 1v1 scenario. But we already see how much damage Soaz can do, and maybe even more importantly, he can keep his distance from Wicked the entire time.
Yeah, we've been seeing the Blade of the Rune King when it's been Trundle versus Bruisers, when it works against champions that stack out HP. I think rushing a Spirit Visage versus an AP top is a smart decision, but Soaz has already sort of countered that by going Morella Nomicon. Once Soaz bursts Wicked down low enough, it's going to reduce the effectiveness of all of his heals, from his Spirit Visage, from his Subjugate, from the Frozen Domain is W, so Soaz has more kill potential with the itemization. I think it's smart. Cyanide's going to try set something up again. It didn't work last time though.
Didn't work last time, but that's because Wicked flashed away from it. Doesn't have his flash available now. Here comes Cyanide. He missed the Q. That could have been very different if the Q would have landed. However, it's forced Wicked away nonetheless. There's going to be some decent turret damage with another wave coming in. Fnatic might be able to put some good damage down on Peke again, taking a big blast. Here comes the Grand Skyfall. Peke not going to be caught inside it, but the air is a stun. The barrel will knock him away though. Peke out of danger.
Flash for flash, and Alliance have been keeping Peke playing defensively. Yes, they've got one kill on him, but they haven't necessarily slowed down his farm. He is still staying as powerful as Froggen. This tower is most likely going to go down now, and Cyanide cannot really pick this fight. So advantage Alliance, they've got the first dragon, they've got the first tower, and I would say all of the ganks in this mid lane have succeeded for Shook. We asked questions, can he step up? And so far, he has.
Not only that, the top lane turret didn't go down. Wicked's teleport had come off cooldown, so he got there before that turret did fall. However, Dragon's up, and Wicked won't have teleport if something happens down there. Fnatic have already got themselves in position.
What I like from Wicked, though, is he's still pushing the top lane. He's trying to get some sort of advantage. Keep in mind, there's no Grand Skyfall either. So Fnatic have got all 5 members of their team there. Shook is a mile away. Alliance should just back away. Froggen should not be in range of even getting caught out, and I think they realize that as well. Fnatic even up the Dragons to go 1-1.
1-1 in Dragons. Let's have a look at that top turret though. See how Wicked's doing up there, and well, can chomp down onto that one. And to be honest, if you look at the minimap, I think Wicked will be able to have this one away, although the minions slowly but surely being taken down by that turret. It's going to be close. He's going to have to tank up a couple of hits, but he will be able to finish it off. That's 2-0 in turrets. A good reply on the Dragon take that Fnatic just took.
I almost prefer the fact that Alliance got the tower. Knowing that that's not there, now allows Shook to even come in from behind, from the blue buff onto Soaz. If Soaz continues to stay pushing their wave up or remains in the top half of the map, the kill potential from Wicked and Shook is going to be much greater. Plus, Froggen can sneak in a little bit more. So, very good decision making. Shook and Wicked may try to double team Soaz, and Shook is looking for an engage.
No Skyfall, but look at that. Soaz going in on towards Shook and saying, you can jump at me, but actually, I've got more damage than both of you right now. So Shook decides, you know what, you're right about that one. He backs away from it. There is a dive in again from Soaz. And again, Cyanide waits, but the Wicked flash is available. Yeah, they may just want to try force Wicked back for the tower. They're going to jump on a Wicked. Well, may or may not. They're going to go in onto him. The stun actually comes down. There's the kick. Wicked does flash there, and Cyanide taking tons of turret damage. Minions are going to time out. Here comes the Grand Skyfall. He's going to put the pillar in place. They end up losing one, and I have to wonder if they can finish off Soaz here. He can. Great play by Shook, and now Soaz is wholly out of position. There's not really anyone to come in, although we did see Froggen, or didn't see Froggen take down Peke in the middle lane 1 versus 1, but Cyanide is now running for his life. He's going to try the recall, and he's going to get away with it. Yeah, he's going to make his way out, but that was a very good reaction from Shook. The fact that he's got so much damage, he jumps onto LeBlanc with no mana, and I talked about how Froggen and Peke would most likely not get kills 1v1, but look at the damage difference. Froggen has gone for a needlessly large rod plus that blasting one. I think this is just going to be a wombo combo. Flash body slam, connected with every single barrel, and even 3 caster minions helping out. One lost barrel. That was just outplay, straight outplay by Froggen. Doing incredibly well. I'll happily stand corrected on the fact that I didn't think 1 versus 1 they were going to go at it, but 2-0-1 now is Frog and has that slightly CS lead in the lane. Almost got his death cap completed. Now this bottom lane, despite that earlier kill, being fairly quiet. However, Soas is now waiting behind the turret. He can make up big ground with this LeBlanc.
Yeah, and he's already got the makings of that DFG, so there's a lot of ability power. 254 to be added in. If they manage to get on tabs, it's going to be the target they want. Grand Skyfall's not available for Shook, but you can see him and Froggen trying to move down. The roaming and the rotations that Alliance have not been really stellar at seem to be a little bit improved, but they can't get caught. Yellow Star's aware of it. That was a great ward from the double golems.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of pinging onto that position. There is a flash and the hook.
Wow.
A flash and nothing really from Yellow Star. You see his player cam there shaking his head. That was not as intended from him. A hook and the box actually landing might have meant trouble for NIF. As it was, a lot used. In fact, everything used from Yellow Star.
That could have even been worse. I actually think if Yellow Star